What's up, guys? My name is Rob, and welcome back to Rule of Two Review, where today we're going to talk about that Legend of Zelda Netflix series. Okay, well, this has been the big to-do and the big thing to talk about the last couple of days ever since this news came out. I know a lot of people have already been discussing it. Lots of people on YouTube have been making videos, lots of news reports, articles, the Wall Street Journal, IGN, Time Magazine, frickin' everybody has been talking about this, which is actually pretty cool, and this was a pretty big revelation. Of course, what I'm talking about is earlier this week, news came out that Netflix is working with Nintendo to create a Legend of Zelda series, specifically to be released on Netflix. Now, this is crazy news and an unprecedented move for a couple of reasons when you come at it from a few different angles, and it's really exciting and also really strange, and it's also kind of one of those things where honestly, the fact that neither Netflix nor Nintendo have confirmed or really talked about this also makes it seem kind of strange, but at the same time, we kind of know to expect this, and hopefully this means that this does pan out, and we actually get some concrete news sometime later this year, perhaps at E3, although I sort of doubt it, or sometime down the road, and of course, we also all want to know, when will this actually come out? So I'm kind of thinking about sometime down the road maybe making a video where I discuss some of my theories and hopes and dreams and wishes for the show, such as the actors that play what characters, what periods of lore or versions of Link or gameplay well, I shouldn't say gameplay mechanics, but basically things from the different games based on what theme that was, whether it's like the Twilight stuff from Twilight Princess or the flooded Hyrule from Wind Waker or what have you, kind of which elements I'd want them to pull from. It would be really fun to talk about that stuff on a video, but I don't want to get into that yet. I kind of just want to make a quick video discussing why I think this is happening, what I think this means, and where this could go in the future. So, of course, as we know, Nintendo has been typically super protective of all of their properties, all of their IPs, and this goes back to the Super Mario Brothers film disaster that I saw when I would have been either 12 or 13 when it came out, and I saw it in the movie theater, and at the time I loved it. I thought it was the greatest thing. And of course, time goes by, and me and a bunch of friends watched the Rift Tracks version of the film sometime last year, just as a refresher and just kind of to make fun of it. And it's one of those things where even though you can still appreciate it and love it for how bad it is, you really do learn how awful that was and what an unbelievable tragedy that whole film and that process was. And there's been a lot of articles, documentation, interviews and stuff with like Bob Hoskins about how that whole thing happened, how it all fell apart during the process, and just why it was so terrible. Obviously, Nintendo learned a lot from that, and I think it's affected how they've handled their properties both outside of gaming and inside. And maybe even affected, when you look at how they might have spun that specifically to the gaming space, maybe why they've been or become so standoffish with third parties, this whole last period since that happened. And I don't know, maybe or maybe not, but long story short, we know that they learned a lot from how that happened. So, these last now couple of years since the Wii U came out, Nintendo and Satoru Iwata have been talking, about trying to branch out with their franchises and their properties, trying to sort of work, license their stuff with other entities in different media spaces. They've talked about it in investor meetings, interviews with large websites, all sorts of things. And we haven't really seen a lot of what that might mean, really, until this piece of news. I feel like this is a sign of what they might be looking to do going forward. And again, this information and even this conversation I'm having does still funnel down to the simple fact that, again, no one has talked about it other than the fact that we've learned this is happening. This news didn't come from an official press release from Netflix or Nintendo or a joint venture by both of them to proudly say, hey, we're going to be bringing you The Legend of Zelda. It's kind of something that just sort of became news, and no one has been able to get a comment from either of the companies, which is too bad, because it would really be nice to know for sure exactly what's happening, hear the words from Nintendo on what they're trying to do and why they're working with another company, with Netflix, to finally do something. And this isn't even like the Mario cartoon or Mario movie that we even kind of heard about. Like, that would have been the obvious, easy thing to branch out with first and test the waters. This is taking like their most... I mean, you could say Mario's their most well-known franchise and character, which is true, but in a different way, I feel like Zelda is the bigger thing and the more well-known thing, because it is the gigantic name brand series that I think branches way more seriously towards the hardcore gamer as well as the more casual gamer. And a lot of people, most people in the world, do still know what The Legend of Zelda is, even though Mario is going to be the more recognizable Nintendo property. Zelda is kind of the same thing. It's definitely the thing that I think they hold closer to their chest. Like, they're willing to do whatever with Mario. And Mario is the series and the character that really is easily... It's easier to mold it into different facets of media entertainment. You know, like, it's easier to make... sorry. It's easier to make a cartoon. It's easier to make a bunch of t-shirts. It's easier to make a movie. It would be easier to make a Netflix show, or, you know, all these different things you could do with Mario. It's easier to brand. The Legend of Zelda is a much more specific genre and a much more specific sort of tone and tale. And, you know, like I said, a lot more hardcore gamers will be devoted and dedicated to Zelda as a franchise than they would something like Mario. So I feel like Nintendo's so overly protective with Zelda. It's insane to learn that one of the first big things they're doing with this new approach to licensing their IPs is something as bold as finally putting The Legend of Zelda legitimately on screen. Now, I'm kind of the ilk where I would have probably preferred like a really high quality, big budget movie. There's so much that's interesting about that idea, and of course you can make the Lord of the Rings trilogy comparisons all day long, and I agree with that stuff. That gets me so excited to think about, and I think that the Zelda franchise and story is ripe for that opportunity. I think that could be great. But at the same time, when I sort of step away from that and look at the possibilities about the Netflix show, you know, a miniseries kind of format for Zelda. And if it really is, the one thing that I think we've heard is that Netflix envisions it as a kind of more family-friendly Game of Thrones type of show. And I don't think family-friendly like it's supposed to be kiddish. I know that people confuse this shit all the time, especially when talking about Nintendo. I feel like family-friendly is different than something geared towards small children. Family-friendly is something that's not going to be so overly mature that, you know, only an older audience can watch it. There's no doubt in my mind that this will be something that, you know, yes, a 5 or 10-year-old is going to watch and love, but I think all of us older people and adults who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s will be able to get the same you know, kind of entertainment out of it. There's no doubt that it's going to be that kind of thing. So they want it to be a family-friendly, more inviting and open Game of Thrones kind of show in terms of maybe the tone, the way the story arcs, the way the characters become so involved and have so much development that's probably really going to be well handled. There is no doubt that the utmost high-quality talent will be attached to this, because we know that Nintendo will not fuck around with putting the Zelda series on screen, even if it is for a Netflix miniseries TV show kind of experience. Like, they will, I firmly believe they will knock it out of the park. And the idea of having, you know, 10 or 13 or 15 episodes that are very, very serious and well told in tone and structure would probably be better and more exciting than even 1 or 3 movies. I mean, there's a lot of potential that's going to be kind of, you know, coming through here, and it's really exciting to imagine what they're going to do. If it can emulate Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones and still be like that goodness that is Zelda, that's just so exciting, you know? So I am, of course, really excited. Most people seem to be. This has been really fantastic, positive news lately, which is really, really cool. Zelda is... It's very much my second favorite gaming series of all time, behind the Metroid series. And while, of course, I think that would also be fantastic to put on screen, and we do know that way back in the day, John Woo was attached to make a Metroid film in like the mid-2000s, and goddamn, I would have liked to see that happen. But at the same time, maybe it's for the best, and, you know, maybe that never needs to happen. Zelda, I definitely will agree, is probably more appropriate to adapt to a live-action kind of media. I think that that's going to be perfect for it. And, you know, I guess at the end of the day, and wrapping up, I just think it's going to be hopefully really fantastic. I can't wait to find out information. Yes, it would be cool to hear them talk about this at E3. At the same time, they might try to do something different. I would like it if maybe they had a different event where they talked about it. E3 is so specifically focused on gaming, it kind of feels like it wouldn't really belong there. But, I mean, who knows? Maybe they will. And, you know, as soon as we can get information, again, specifically from Nintendo, the better. I really want to hear why they decided to do this, what their vision and plan for it is, because I feel like they're going to be very hands-on, and that's only going to hopefully make it better, provided they don't try to restrict it too much. And I don't really think that they're going to do that. So really exciting. Who knows which version of Link that we're going to see? Are we going to see the Skyward Sword, the Ocarina of Time, the Wind Waker, the original, the Link to the Past? I mean, is this going to be an adaptation of a game or a timeline from Zelda? Or is it going to be a brand new kind of piece of lore? Or something to even tie into the new game and wherever that's going to fall within the recently restructured timeline? I mean, there's a lot of stuff to wonder about and theorize about. And like I said, I'll probably look into making a different video specifically focused on my theories and wishes for the series at a different time. But today I just wanted to talk about this. I think this is very smart for Nintendo. What a great way to branch out with your franchises, make it more well-known, brand yourself stronger to a lot of other people and a whole new audience. And it showed that you're a little bit more open and friendly with the ideas of people doing stuff with your franchises than people think you are. Obviously, with the whole recent news with Nintendo's YouTube program, they really kind of needed the positive press, and since everyone seems to be reacting so positively to this and seems very excited about it, I think this is really great timing and a really great piece of news. So I don't know, man. It's going to be cool. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with this. What do you guys think? Are you excited or not? What are your theories for the show? Definitely share that stuff down below. Thanks for tuning in. Please feel free to subscribe to Rule of Two Review. Follow the links below to the Facebook page and the Twitter. Thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you guys on another video from Rule of Two Review.